Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. So I had a patient today who was diagnosed with Sever's disease, and the parents just had a lot of questions. So I thought I'd share a bit of that information. So I guess, what is Sever's disease? It belongs to a family of conditions we call apophysitis. So apophyses in terms of like the growth plate, like the end of a growth plate, and itis being inflammation. So it's a family of conditions that relate to inflammation around the growth plates. So you might have heard of Osgood Schlatters. That's one that sort of commonly happens around the knee. So Sever's is one that happens on our calcaneus, our heel bone. I guess what causes it? We tend to find that it happens when patients are in a high period of growth. So for boys, that's sort of 8 to 10 for their foot, and girls, sort of 8 to 10 as well. But, late bloomers, it can still be happening when they're 11 or 12. So what causes it? Typically, as they're growing, the amount of running, jumping, soccer, basketball, whatever it might be, the amount they're doing is typically too much for the growth plate to be able to handle. And they just get this slow build up of inflammation. I guess, what does it look like? Typically, people are often able to still play their game, but they might have a little bit of pain at the start. That warm up when they sort of start running, they feel a bit stiff and sore. I guess the big thing you'll notice as parents is a bit of lameness, so that their speed might have dropped, or you notice them limping during the game. And then probably the next biggest thing is, once you've driven home from a game of football, is they get out of the car and they're shuffling like a penguin, or they get up in the morning and they're shuffling like a penguin. So that's typically the things we find in that people come in and report. I guess from an objective point of view, we look at people, and these kids often have low calf strength. They're not able to do that many calf raises. Their foot posture changes a lot throughout this age. So we can use orthotics to help with foot posture if needed, but typically we find a heel raise is very effective. So I guess, what does treatment involve for that? Well, we go through a nice long conversation around how much exercise and sport and activity your child is doing. And from that, we try and find a point that it is going to be that happy medium, not too much, not too little. Rest will definitely make this feel better. But the problem you'll face is, if you just take 3 weeks off, then you lose a lot of that fitness, and they jump back into full games and full training, and the pain returns pretty quickly. So we like to find a balance, and that might be, playing the game on the weekend, but at training, instead of training for 90 minutes, they train for 45 minutes if it's cranky, or 60 minutes if it's going okay. And that way we find that the athlete is able to still enjoy their sport and get something without losing all that fitness, but allow the injury to recover. And then I guess from an exercise point of view, we'll have a good look at their biomechanics and give them some strength exercises that'll help stimulate the growth plate to improve in its thickness and reduce its pain. So often this involves some calf raises, some toe walking, maybe a bit of stretching through that area. So if you know anyone who's waking up, walking like a penguin down that hallway, then, having Sever's might be something that they've got. And whilst most kids do grow out of Sever's as the heel bone matures, it often then turns into Achilles tendon pain if those biomechanical causes aren't addressed. So yeah, that's sort of what we had the discussion with the patient today. So if you found that helpful, share it with any other parents or whose children might be having some heel pain. And if they need any help, you can click the link on our website for a booking, or send us a message, and we're just happy to have a bit of a chat and give you some more information.